Okay, let's see. But is it really going? Is it really going? Okay. Yeah, whatever. I don't know where I'm going. Hey, good afternoon. It is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo, with yet another episode of Red Stone Lapis Lazuli. Let us begin. Let us begin. Here we go. Like, this is like, seriously, it's like homework for me. Alright. Oh! Sorry. I tried making a Statue of Liberty. It disappeared. And I didn't do so good because there's not enough space. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 13 meters tall. That's it. Only 13 meters? Come on, the real Statue of Liberty is like way bigger, number one. Number two, it's yeah, I need, every block is 1 meter cubed. So I can't like exactly do the thing. I can't do it. I can't do it with only like a resolution like within 13 blocks with a resolution of 1 meter. Like that's it. So I need to find a bigger place. And my idea of doing a bigger place was gonna be up there. Ah! But that might be limited to the world height because I can only go to like 256 building. So if I start building up there and my build height is like right there, it's not gonna be very good. I need to make it more down here then. And then like figure out how. Like how many meters. How many meters, man? How high you gonna go? Cause yeah. It's gonna be 100 meters? That's a lot. That's a pretty good statue. It's a lot of copper. I don't know where you're gonna get it all. There's no real copper farms. So yeah, good luck with that one. At least 50 meters. How about that? I can do a 50-meter thing, but like, is that like that height? The height of that tower? Like, is that it? Like, I don't know. How big is 50 meters? I mean, I gotta here. Let's check it out. How tall is 50 meters? That's 50 meters. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good statue. Pretty good size. 50 meters. Yeah, I just got to figure out where to put it. So 50 meters is a little bit different than 13 meters. So, and then plus I have to remember like most of that is like the hand holding up the torch of that 50 meters. So the actual statue is probably only going to be like 30 meters. So, yeah, anyways, I made some changes to my house. I added on more farmland because the amount of wheat you get from a field is very little compared to the number of carrots and tomatoes, or carrots and potatoes. And same thing with beets. Beets and wheat, you don't get very much, you don't harvest very much for the seeds you get. You get tons of seeds, not very much fruit, vegetable, whatever, seed, or wheat, whatever. So I had to like double it in order to hopefully like make it worthwhile. But Like, man, it's a pain in the butt having to like do it myself. I would much rather make it automatic by enslaving villagers and having the villagers do it for me. But then I have to enslave them, and like I don't want to do that. So yeah, so it's not happening. So, oh well. Oh well for me. And then this guy decides he's gonna live here now. I don't know why. He just decided I want to live here now. I had built this home for some other guy that was on the other side of the river, but that guy left. So I don't. And then this other guy took his place. I think he went in and got into the city and got a job or something, and like a bed over there. So who knows what happened? But it works, right? What a nice little. Everyone's got a job. Everyone's got a bed. It's a very happy, healthy village. Like, I don't know how much of this is new. Like how much I've built since. Yeah, that house is there. Check it out. The fisherman doing his fishing. So cool. So cool. There's even a house behind here. Big house. Like, I started making big houses. But yeah. Hello, Fizzy HB Contortion. I am using. So he asks. Fizzy HP Contortion asks, which shaders are you using? I am using Rethinking Voxels, beta like 0.7A or something like that. I mean, I can look, right? Right there. Beta 7A. But it's not just, I mean, the shaders are part of it, but the other part of it is the texture pack. I'm using what texture pack am I using? It's the texture pack that makes it good. Here, options, resource packs. AE64 with their yeah. So it's nice. It's nice. So yeah, I'm gonna have to rework my Statue of Liberty to make it bigger, 50 meters at least. I gotta find a place, and I don't know if I have 50 meters of space on top of that mountain. If I do, that's where I'm building it, but I don't know if I do. So that's one thing, right? The other thing is I got a beacon. Oh yeah, I made this little whee to get up here to the Statue of Liberty. But it's like a bad statue. I gotta redo it. And I'm probably gonna replant this hill to be covered in trees, because it's too small to really do anything except maybe build like a tower. But I don't want to make another tower. Okay, and then with my I redid this so the lighting's better. And yeah, you can see the beacon. I made a beacon. There's a beacon under there. I killed the wither like 3 times, so I've got a couple more beacons. And I moved my voting, my ranked choice voting situation thing over here. And then I reworked my my world, and now it is USA who is isolated. Dum dum dum. Which is true, right? It's true. The United States is isolated because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a bad guy. Yeah. And I moved Ukraine closer to Europe. And Canada too. So now Canada and Ukraine are closer to Europe than USA is. And USA is closer to Russia and Iran and Syria. It sucks. And China, incidentally. So So, Fizzy HB Contortion says, nice, I'm honestly downloading those. Good. It's a shame though because my shaders don't work past 1.20.6. Yeah! Go to 1.21 at least. Come on, man. I guess, I mean, if you want mod compatibility, then yeah, you have to stick with the old versions. No entity shadows. No entity shadows, because those get crazy. And then what else did I do? Finally, I went down here, and I just reworked my wall of lava to be less laggy. It was pretty laggy. Oh yeah, and then I dug out that way a kilometer. And then I dug that way a kilometer. And I think I dug that way a kilometer too. So, yeah, if you want to go cave diving, then yeah, no, you can't. Yeah, so HB or Fizzy HB Contortion says I've tried to do it on 1.21, but my laptop can't handle it. There's no difference between 1.20 and 1.21 in terms of the stress on the processor. I mean, it's the fact that you're trying to do it on a laptop with a probably integrated graphics card. Yeah, you can't do that. Like I'm using a high-end graphics card to do this. So it's like, yeah, my old card wouldn't work. Couldn't do it. My old card was a 3070. Yeah, my old card was a 3070, and I couldn't handle this. I had to get a stronger card. Now I'm using the 79 XTX, 7900 XTX, AMD, and it's handling both the graphics and the video encoding at the same time. At the same time! On the same processor. Rawr! Okay. There we go. So yeah, like that's just me playing Minecraft, right? I mean, it's fun to play Minecraft. That's you know what I'm into. Oh look. Yeah, I'm doing my show late, so I'm not able to like, yeah. I normally would be much earlier in the morning, but I wasn't feeling up to it in the morning. Mainly because I'm just kind of like bummed out, man. Like, living through fascism sucks. Like, it's not fascism yet in the United States, but definitely the federal government is moving in that direction under Donald Trump. So, yeah, so the thing is that Fizzy HB Contortion says, I don't know anything about tech, but all I know is it works on 1.20 but not 1.21. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at your setup, but yeah, it's mainly about updating mods. You might want to get like a mod updater to do it automatically for you. But then like they don't update all at the same time, so yeah. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But pain in the butt. Oh yeah, and one more thing, the last thing I want to point out in Minecraft before I get into like I'm gonna sleep. Before I get into the what's it called? The news stuff. So the other thing that happened in Minecraft, whee, the rainbow. The other thing that happened was that there was a thunderstorm and it burned down my wall of trees. So I had a wall of trees there and there was a fire and it just burned down everything. And I chopped down like the remnants, but like yeah, now there's a giant gaping wound. Big hole. I wonder if I should fill it with something. Like I don't know what I can build there. But I should build something there. because it's just a big empty space. Okay. Well. 50 meters. That's 50 meters. 50 meters is pretty tall. I didn't know. You would die if you fell off of that. Oh yeah, and then I built this like nifty like path because all the villagers were using it anyways. Before there was a path here, they would just like hop on the sand, and I'm like, yo, dude, let me just make a proper path, and they're much happier now. Yeah, so everyone's got a house. Okay, what do I got here? Well, thank you, yo. Thank you, HB Fizzy Contortion, for recommending my stream to a friend. That's fantastic. Like, I would totally be down for more people watching my stream. But then, like, see, you might like it for the Minecraft content, but I don't always just play Minecraft. Like today on Sundays are a special day for me. So I talk about politics and U.S. stuff, and it's like, at first it's like, oh yuck, politics, but I mean it's really important. It's super important. It really affects a lot of people. I mean, a lot of our history is based on what happens in politics. So, for example, I'm gonna start right now. So you have to know, number one, that Donald Trump, you know, the current U.S. president, Donald Trump is a criminal. He's a criminal. He's literally convicted of felony fraud. In other words, he lied a lot, so much that it became like a big time crime. He lied to make millions of dollars by signing fraudulent documents he knew that were fake, but signed them anyway so he can make money. Like that guy, that's a bad guy, right? That's a bad guy. So somebody compiled the complete legal and ethical record of Donald J. Trump. And the one I'm talking about, the falsifying business records, is right here. And the dates when he was convicted. So, convicted on 34 felony counts for falsifying business records related to hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. So, he knew he was gonna, like, he knew that he had to pay to keep Stormy Daniels quiet about his affair, because Donald Trump is an adulterer, right? He literally paid. He kind of raped her, right? Because she, according to the trial, she didn't agree to have sex with him. She agreed to meet him for dinner, because that's what he asked her to do. And when she showed up in his hotel room, he was in his pajamas, and she was all dressed up to go out. And like he kind of forced her. So like it was kind of rape. And then afterwards he paid her money to shut her up. And in order to keep the payment quiet, he did a bunch of tricky maneuvering to make it look like the money was hidden. So Fizzy HB Contortion asks, isn't he trying to make it legal for him to be president multiple times instead of only 2, so he can be elected again? Yes, he can. Like, it's illegal for him to run for a 3rd term, but he's constantly talking about it because he fully intends on, like, he's a dictator. He's a dictator. He does not want to leave power. Like, he's a bad guy. What other stuff is on there? Sexual misconduct allegations. Jessica Leeds, alleged forcible kissing. Alleged Jill Harth, alleged attempted rape. Rachel Crooks, alleged unwanted advances. Summer Zervos, alleged groping during The Apprentice. Natasha Stoyanov, alleged forced kiss at Mar-a-Lago. Kristen Anderson, alleged unwanted touching under the table in the 90s. Like, there's just tons of stuff. And then we get into the election interference in his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. He pressured the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to quote find votes on January 2nd, 2021 in order for him to win Georgia. So he was trying to get the Secretary of State to go along with overthrowing the election in Georgia. And we have it on tape, so it's not like it's a question on whether or not it happened. It for sure happened. It's recorded. He was just never charged. He was never held accountable for it. And like, oh my God, there's just like his Trump organization was convicted of fraud and dissolved. He bankrupted like 6 casinos. Like, he was impeached he was impeached twice. The only president to be impeached twice. And yeah, the question is, who let this felon into parliament? Well, we don't have parliament, we have Congress. And he wasn't let into Congress, he was made president. Who are these people? Who are these people that overlook this huge rap sheet? Well, here, let me show you something. Here's an exit poll of the 2024 election. And we find out that the biggest supporter of this criminal were white men. The second biggest supporter of the criminal was white women. So white people, majority voted for the criminal, for a guy who's a rapist, a felon, a fraud, and a failed businessman. White people did. So it's like, I mean, then you look over here and you go, oh yeah, what about Latino men who also voted for Donald Trump? Okay, you're right. That's a valid point. They did majority vote for Donald Trump. But look at the difference in the percentage of people. So 34% of the electorate were white men. 37% of the electorate were white women. Only 6% of the electorate were Latino men. So white women have a way more influence on the election than do Latino men in the United States. So that gives, now this comes into, now we have an issue here, right? Well, if it's white people, what is white even? What is it? What is this white thing? Because it's a thing, right? It's a thing, it's there, but what is it? And if you drill down on it, you find out that white is nothing more than privilege. It's not biological. There's no genetic component to it. The races are indistinguishable from one another. All humans are capable of greatness or failure. All humans, all of them. All of them. White, therefore, is a social construct that's fluid and mutable depending on what the power says. Because that's where it lies. That's where it lies. It's a construct by the powerful to keep the other people divided. And it's what's gained with whiteness is privilege. Privilege. It's all about privilege. Because Irish people were treated like dirt in this country until they were accepted into whiteness, quote, quote. Italians were treated like dirt until they were accepted into whiteness. Germans treated like dirt until they were accepted into whiteness. So it's not even about the color of your skin, really. It's a social construct. Color of your skin just makes it easy for you to distinguish. Like when you, but as we moved forward through time, the idea of whiteness has changed. So, yeah, like Fizzy HP Contortion makes a wonderful point. It's like cats having a different color coat. Like it doesn't matter. it doesn't matter what color the fur is. Like it makes no difference. So, but the thing is that white supremacists, they care about that kind of stuff. And hierarchy is part of that white supremacy, is that privilege. So white people voted to keep their privilege, is what it boils down to. Now, they don't say it that way. If you ask them, they may not tell you that. They may say like, oh, I was concerned about the economy, even though all the indicators for the economy were great. And now they're going to shit. Then they'll say, oh, it was about transgender. Transgender people are 1% of the population. Like, if they turned you into a Nazi, like, you were a Nazi before the trans people were there. The Nazis, the trans people didn't turn you Nazi. You turned yourself into a Nazi. So yeah, we're dealing now with the fallout of that election. So one of the deals with it is, I mean, what happened? Ooh, wait, here we go. The EU is clowning on us. The EU is clowning us. EU watching on amazed at the stupidity of the Trump government. They've blown up their own country by letting ChatGPT make their trade policy. This is true. This is true. When you look at the list of countries that Donald Trump placed tariffs on, reciprocal tariffs, he included McDonald Island. And you look up McDonald Island, the only thing that lives on McDonald Island are penguins. So Donald Trump was saying, oh, McDonald Islands occupied by penguins has a 10% tariff on us, so we're going to put a 10% tariff on McDonald Island penguins. It's because then you find out it's not because like they seriously looked up McDonald Island and seriously decided to tariff the penguins. No, what happened was they had ChatGPT pull up a list of countries by internet domain, and they just applied the tariffs across the board. It was the stupidest thing ever. So yeah, the United States made its trade policy via ChatGPT. It's so dumb, and AI is stupid. Like it's just like you can't trust AI because garbage in, garbage out. Okay, so HB Fizzy Contortion says, my friend is watching your stream right now and they can't chat, but they say they like the politics and interesting. They also say they hope your channel grows. Well, thank you. Cheers. So, what I'm trying to do is like twofold, right? I'm trying to show the rest of the world that not all Americans are crazy. It's just, and number two, I'm trying to teach the Americans about things that they may not know about. Because there's a lot of stuff going on, and not all of it manages to pierce through because of all the stuff going on. So right now, Donald Trump is just rounding up people and then stripping them of due process. They get no due process. They don't get to see a judge. Instead, he decides they're bad guys and he sends them overseas, where I don't know if it's paying or if he gets paid to send people to this prison. Because like they rounded up this one guy, like Garcia Abreu. Man, I can't. They rounded up this one guy who was here legally. He did everything correct, right? He had a job. He was paying taxes. He was not a citizen, but he was here legally. He had legal full residence. He hadn't committed any crimes. He was good, right? He was great. The government just snatched him off the street, just grabbed him, threw him in a van, and then shipped him to El Salvador to a prison with gang members. Like, I don't know what kind of bad things go on there, but hopefully we find out when he comes back. Because a judge ordered Donald Trump, a judge is like, yo, why did you send this guy over there? And the government said, oh, we made a mistake. The judge said, well, if you made a mistake, bring him back. Bring him back. And the government is not doing it. They don't want to do it. Here, let me show you a tweet. This tweet by Aaron Reichen-Melnick says, new DOJ, the Department of Justice, doubles down on refusing to follow Judge Zini's orders. Today's status report contains nothing new. It again fails to provide information about steps they're taking to bring Mr. Abrego back, and arguably violates her command that a declaration be made by someone with personal knowledge. So that's 2 times, that's 2 days now, the Donald Trump administration has defied a judge's orders. So at this point, like, how confident are Americans that Donald Trump is going to wield power lawfully? So Fizzy HP Contortion says, well, I'm British, but it's still interesting to learn all about the chaos that's happening there. It's awful what's happening here. Like, it's absolutely awful. Like, the oligarchs have taken control of the US federal government from the inside and are like ripping it to shreds from the inside. And you would think that, oh, well, why doesn't your Congress, your parliament stop them? Because our parliament, we have like an old school version of democracy. Our democracy is ancient. Like, it hasn't really been updated. Like, if you think of government as democracies as operating systems, like the United States is running on Windows 95. While everyone else is on Windows like 11 or 10 or 11 or something. Our operating system, government is really bad. So the Donald Trump's party is going along with what Donald Trump is doing. They're helping him go along with it. So the minority government, the minority party, doesn't really have any power to stop them. Not until the next election, which happens every 2 years. And typically, in American politics, the party in power will lose Congress after 2 years because the electorate doesn't like what they're doing. It happens every time. It doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. Like, if your party has power, it will lose power in 2 years. So you only have the first 2 years to really do anything, which is why Donald Trump is doing a blitzkrieg of dismantling the government, because he knows he only has 2 years to do it before he loses control, and then it's going to be like hunkering down and like whittling away at the edges. It sucks. But what he's doing is he's turning on the West. Donald Trump has turned on the West and is aligning himself and the US government with Russia. So it used to be the United States was in NATO with Europe and Canada. Ukraine, not yet, right? And the reason why NATO existed was to counter the effects of Russia. So Russia is strong enough to pick on its neighbors, but it cannot attack the whole block of NATO. Can't do it. Cannot do it. United, NATO is stronger than Russia. So what Russia tries to do is tries to undermine the government. So for example, for Ukraine, Russia wanted to take over Ukraine because they were neighbors, Ukraine, but they didn't want to do it with soldiers and tanks and bullets forcefully, because that's expensive and very difficult, and you can't deny you're doing it while you're doing it. Everyone can see you're doing it. Instead, what they want to do is use corruption. So at first, Russia had this puppet in power in Ukraine by the name of Yanukovych. a Russian puppet by the name of Yanukovych. And this Russian puppet did everything he could to move Ukraine outside of the EU and over closer to Russia, because Russia wanted to control Ukraine again. But the people of Ukraine were wise to it, and they had a revolution. They protested for like 3-4 months in the winter time, and finally the Yanukovych fled. He had to leave. He had to leave government. But he didn't just leave government and that's it, and spend the rest of his life in Ukraine. No, he left Ukraine. He left government in Ukraine to go live in Moscow, because he's a Russian puppet. Because Russia was trying to control Ukraine via corruption, and Ukraine resisted it. So Donald Trump was supposed to add pressure to Ukraine to make them give up, but he lost the election to Biden. So when Biden won, Putin knew he couldn't use corruption anymore to take over Ukraine. So he tried to use his military, thinking that Ukraine would roll over like they did in 2014. Because this isn't the first time that Russia invaded Ukraine. 2022 wasn't the first time. Russia also invaded Ukraine in 2014. And when they invaded the first time, like, Ukraine had like nothing, had no Western weapons. They had old Soviet weapons that didn't work anymore. So yeah, of course Russia rolled over them. And it was supposed to be like, learn your lesson, like, follow Russia. Don't try to do anything stupid, or we'll smack you again. And but it didn't work because Ukraine elected Zelensky and resisted the Russian corruption. So yeah, that's why Russia. Anyways, so Russia, what Russia wants to do is use corruption. Now here, don't believe me, right? Don't just believe me. There's this guy named Yuri Bermanov who left the old USSR, which is, what the Russian Empire was, and he worked for the KGB, and he defected to the United States. And he explains how Russia uses corruption to overthrow the government. Hold on, let me grab it real quick. Oh, it's not there anymore. It's over here now for some reason. Okay, sorry, hold on. Name, there we go.
Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand.
There's nothing to do with espionage.
Nothing to do with espionage.
Only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare.
Okay, so most of the Russian attack is not spying so much as it is psychological warfare. Now, this is real shit, right? Like, for you guys, you're in England. The Russians killed some English people. They killed some of your people. They went to go assassinate a Russian guy living in London, and they left their poison bottle around. And some people in London picked it up because it was a pretty bottle, and it had the residues of the poison on it. And it killed him and his girlfriend. So it's not like the Russians like play nice. The Russians are evil people. They're terrible. It's a terrible empire. So, but they don't fight out in the open. They fight in the shadows. So he's explaining, this guy used to be in the Russian spy network, and he's telling you how they do it. And they do it through psychological warfare. So what do they mean by psychological warfare?
What it basically means is to change the perception of reality.
To change the perception of reality. That is psychological warfare. To change the perception of reality. So, like, you're not trying to change reality. That's hard to change reality. It takes work to make real change, to make real things happen. Instead, you're doing it the easy, lazy way. You're just trying to change the perception of reality. So how do you attack someone's perception of reality? How do you do that? You attack their brain. You have to, like, because that's how you perceive things, with your brain. I mean, you perceive them with your eyes, but that's only to get the raw data. In order for any of that data to make sense, it has to be processed by your brain. So that's where they hijack your senses, is in your brain, how you process the information. So what Russia does is it alters the way people process information. Why?
Of every American, to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country.
So, so the point is to mess up people's brains so much that they're not able to defend themselves, their family, their communities, or their country. That's how you do it. You mess up people's brains so that they can't process what they're hearing, or they can't process what they're seeing. They see it, they hear it, but their brain just doesn't process it. So they can't defend themselves if you can't process it. That's how corruption works.
You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information.
Yeah. Okay, so he says that you can't heal people once they've been brainwashed in this way. Because how do you do that? How do you hijack someone's brain? How do you get into someone's head like that? The way you do it is through networks. Like, you don't perceive a lot of things directly. You don't, like, if reality was only what you could perceive, then your reality would be really, really, really tiny. Because how far can you see past your walls? How do you know what's on the other side of the wall is really there? You can't see it. Like, but we know that reality is persistent. Even if you can't perceive something, it doesn't mean it's not there. Reality is independent of your perceptions. But in order to know what's on the other side of the wall, right, you have to have like a network, like a trusted network. You're like, I know that the other side of the wall is still there, even if I can't perceive it, because objects are persistent that I leave that are still there, and like effects that will happen even if I can't see them. I mean, because I know that it's real, because I have trusted networks. So, like, how do I know what's going on in my state, where I live, in Oregon? How do I know? I don't actually see it. I don't actually hear it, but there's a trusted network of people who do see it and hear it, and then write it down, and then publish it in a way where I can grab it on the network. And I take that information, and I go, oh, that's what really happened. That's actually real. Even though I can't perceive it and I can't see it, it comes from my trusted network, therefore I know it's real, and I incorporate it into my thinking. And I make conclusions based on the information from that trusted network. So that is where the exploitation happens. That's where it happens. It's in the networking. Americans have trusted networks where they gather information. And if you can get yourself into those trusted networks and put in fake information, bad information, because it comes from a trusted network, it won't be questioned. And people will make decisions and conclusions based on the bad information you feed them. And if you're the one feeding them information, you can make them come to any conclusion you want, because you feed them the information. And particularly if you poison all the other sources of information. If you say that, oh, if the trusted network tells you, oh, you can't trust any other preferred sources of information. Then if you hear information that's contrary to the bad information you hear, you won't trust it, because you've been instructed by your trusted network not to trust information outside your trusted network. So that's how we have a whole bunch of Americans right now worshiping Elon Musk, the richest Nazi in the world, because their trusted networks of information, which happen to be like Fox News or other right-wing networks, all those guys are trusted by those people, and they're all corrupt information. It's all bad information. But you can't tell them otherwise. You can't explain it otherwise because they're brainwashed. Like, you can show them. You can literally show them. Like, for example, the other day, Saturday, I physically went down to the Tesla dealership in Salem, Oregon. And I protested. I held a sign that said Musk is a Nazi, because he's a Nazi. Elon Musk is a Nazi. There's no question to it. Like, this guy is a Nazi, and he has access to our government and is wreaking havoc, and he's a Nazi. And like, so, and he owns lots of Tesla stock. Therefore, if we can make it a bad idea to own a Tesla, then Tesla stock will shrink, and Elon Musk's wealth will shrink, and therefore Elon Musk's power will shrink. So I was there, right? And as I'm there, I'm holding my sign, someone drove by and screamed, Elon Musk. Do you know who Elon Musk is? Elon Musk is a billionaire. He's the world's richest man. But he's a Nazi. How do I know he's a Nazi? Like, if I don't know anything about Elon Musk, I don't know anything about Elon Musk, but how would I know if Elon Musk is a Nazi? How can I say that? Well, because he did this.
Make it happen. Thank you.
Oh my God! And then he does it again. He did it 2 times. 2 Nazi salutes. He did 2 Nazi salutes. Now some people will be like, oh, I don't know if that's a Nazi salute. Here, let's look at it side by side with with identified Nazis. People who say, oh yeah, I am a Nazi, and this is a Nazi salute. Let's compare them. Let's compare. Oh my God! Shut up, stop. Do you see that? Did you see that? It's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing. Elon Musk is a Nazi. This guy right here is a Nazi. He's a Nazi. So there are people. I was at this protest at the Tesla dealership outside on the sidewalk, holding a sign to the cars driving by, and my sign said Elon Musk is a Nazi, because he is. It's clear he is. And people screamed out their window, "We love Elon Musk!" And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I've heard it said that the United States is a Christian nation, quote, quote, Christian nation, right? So, as I understand it, Christianity is based upon the teachings of a man named Jesus of Nazareth. Okay, now, if you listen to the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, he tells, there's a parable, fable, there's a saying. There's a saying that says, it is easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. Elon Musk is literally the richest man in the world. You can't get any more rich than Elon Musk without becoming the richest person in the world. He is it. When you look at all the rich people, he is at the tippity top. Why would a Christian person say that they love the richest person on earth, who happens to be a Nazi? Are they really Christian? Yeah. Are they really Christian? I don't know. Oh no, I lost my stuff. There it is. Okay. Anyways. So, this is what's going on. The United States government kidnapping. Capturing a person against their will without due process is called kidnapping. Transporting them to another country without due process is called human trafficking. A squalid extrajudicial prison for people found guilty of no crime is called a concentration camp. So this is to make clear what's happening in the United States. The United States government is kidnapping people and trafficking them to a concentration camp in a foreign country. And the Trump administration is defying a court order to stop. They're doing it despite what the court says. So it's not lawful. There's no legitimacy behind it. It's raw power. That's a dictator. So another thing that Donald Trump did was something called market manipulation. Donald Trump announced tariffs on everybody. Huge business-ending tariffs. He announced them. That caused the stock market to tank terribly. Then Donald talked to his buddies, and he told them, hey, look, the stock market's really low. You should buy right now because I'm going to make it go back up, and you'll make a lot of money. So people got that information and acted on it. They bought a whole bunch of stock, bought a bunch of stuff really, really cheap because they had inside information, which is like illegal. And then Donald makes this announcement, and then the stock goes back up. That's called market manipulation. When you do things on purpose to make money for yourself, to benefit yourself, that only you can do because you have the special information. That's illegal. That's illegal. You can't be doing that. But Donald Trump did it. So, Trump market fraud and self-enrichment scheme. Step 1, short the market. Step 2, announce tariffs. Step 3, market crashes. Step 4, buy on the dip. Step 5, extort favors from countries. Step 6, scrap tariffs. Step 7, market rises. Step 8, sell on the rise, bank the profits. Like, it's a crime. It's a crime what he did. I mean, like, he didn't directly steal money from me, but my investments lost money, and he made a profit. That profit had to come from somewhere. And the market did not recover to the level where it was before he made the announcements. So, like, that's another crime you can throw on top of all the crimes that Donald Trump committed. So if you want the empirical data of it, the insiders had this massive amount of trading a half hour, or like 15 minutes before everyone else found out about it. So these guys are the ones with the inside information who made a shit ton of money based on what no one else knew about. That's called market manipulation. So the problem is that the Donald Trump administration is totally corrupt. If you understand that Donald Trump tried to overthrow the election in 2020, then you would understand why it's even worse that he has power right now. So here, let's look. This is a picture of a U.S. prosecutor. This guy, Ed Martin, he's a U.S. attorney. He prosecutes criminals for the United States government. This is at a fundraiser. They're raising funds. They're making money or trying to get donations. Why? To help all these other people. Who are all these other people? These are people who are convicted of crimes on January 6th. So they're criminals. Douglas Mackey, Kenneth Harrelson, Joseph Hackett, Kelly Meggs, Michael Curzio. Like, all these are bad people, but yet here's a U.S. Prosecutor raising money with the people he's supposed to be prosecuting. Why? Because he's on Team Donald Trump, Team Insurrection. So when I look at what they're doing, I want to say, oh, it's a bunch of Nazis. They're a bunch of Nazis, but that's not really fair, because Nazis are a German thing, and what's happening here is distinctly American. It's more of a Confederate thing, a slaver thing. So the United States has never really gotten over its legacy of slavery and genocide. The slavers weren't all hung and executed. Instead, they were allowed to continue to accrue power by spreading quickly to the west and setting up new situations of institutionalized racism. They just turned it into a law. So what's going on in the United States is pretty much a rehash of the struggle between the Unionists and the slavers at the Civil War. Because they're trying to disenfranchise all the people they don't like. I mean, they're literally kidnapping people and removing them to concentration camps. It's already happening. They have no regard for the Constitution. They have no regard for other branches of government. They literally tried to overthrow the government the last time. Where's that picture? Not that one. Desktop. Right? That was January 6, 2021. That's a Confederate flag, battle flag, with another guy holding the Trump's flag. Because I know a lot of people try to say that, oh, it was just a bunch of Democrats, or it was just regular people. Nah, dude, it was the Confederacy. The Confederacy attacked the United States on January 6, 2021. The Confederacy right now controls the American government. That's the problem. And, like, people have a hard time identifying it for some reason. So I'm not doing this to make you feel bad. I'm doing this so that you're aware of what it is that we're facing. I mean, like, of course Americans are resisting this, right? Of course. All over the country, Maine refuses to bow down to Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is gonna put the federal government all over Maine to try to make Maine give in. And over trans athletes. Because trans people are the Confederates' favorite scapegoat right now. I mean, aside from, you know, their usual suspects. But right now, they're using trans people for the scapegoat. So, yeah. Remember, April 19th is the next big event. So if you're an American, you should definitely go to this event. Because the more people we have, the better. I'm telling you. And the haters want to say, oh, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. It matters. It does matter. In ways you can't conceive or see. Because the effect is subtle. But it's there. Trust me. Make sure you go. Remember, the Constitution protects immigrants too. Just because some people are undocumented workers or illegal immigrants doesn't mean they're not protected from the United States or from the Constitution. They still have protections. They still get due process. Man, remember when the conservatives were talking about due process? They wouldn't shut up. Like, of course Donald Trump was going to get due process. But look how Donald Trump is denying due process for everybody else. That's the kind of a thing that a slaver does. Yeah, I shouldn't call them Nazis. I should call them slavers. Because that's what they are. That's American. Slavers are American. No need to point to other countries. Let's look at our own country. Slavers are American. They're slavers. Trump administration aims to spend $45 billion to expand immigration detention. 45 billion when the normal budget is 3 billion. That's because he wants to build a network of prisons to house like 1 million people. No joke. Donald Trump is building concentration camps in the United States. So remember what I was telling you? I was telling you about brainwashing, Russian brainwashing. So, views of Donald Trump by age over the past 6 months. The Gen Z hate the guy because they see how terrible he is. 30 to 44, yeah, it's pretty negative, and it was never really high, and then it got negative. Gen Z gave him a chance, but then it dropped off real quick. Millennials kind of knew what he was about. He was like never really had much support. Then you got Gen X. Gen X is fucked up. I'm Gen X. I don't understand this. Why Gen X could see like a bad guy and then give him support. But then someone told me on Twitter, not Twitter, Blue Sky. Someone told me, like, remember those old movies in the 80s, like Revenge of the Nerds, like the bullies, Alpha Beta, like those are the bad guys. But that's actually like the majority of people who vote for Trump, and that's the people, I guess, of that generation. Man, that sucks. No wonder I turned out the way I did. And then 65 and older, the boomers like kind of know that he's no good. Probably because he's going after their Social Security. So yeah, like, we have this thing called the Declaration of Independence. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another, and to afford among the powers of the earth. I can't read it all. It's kind of not clear. Anyways, like, there's a list of reasons why the Americans went to war against England. And right here, for cutting off trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, those are the tariffs, for something delivering us or something, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretend offenses. I mean, we went to war over the things that Donald Trump is doing right now. We went to war. So I understand there's a lot of Americans who don't know their history very well. Which is why they elected Donald Trump, a criminal, to lead the country. Well, it's because their trusted networks are compromised, and they wouldn't question what they heard from the trusted networks. That's why. I don't think they're actually Nazis. Well, maybe not. They might have the tendency toward being a slaver. But the bad information exacerbates it from the trusted networks. Anyway. Alright. That does it for me, I think, today. Make sure you go to next Saturday's protest. It's important. It's good for your spirit, too. So, until next time, peace. Bago Kiddo out. Stop.